to be able to share it on a few screens and make sure that everybody can see us and hear us fine. It shows that we're live on both of our channels, YouTube and Facebook. And I worded this broadcast, it should attract some people. It says funding. So if nothing else, we'll get a good number of people that are tuned in today. And if you're hopping on and can see this broadcast, see us fine, and are excited to hear about the county and state opportunities, type some notes for us in the comments. Give us that thumbs up and let us know so we can get this show started. I don't know what I just did. I tell you, Mike, you'd think after the number of times I've done this that it would just be a breeze.
It is. It's live in the corner there and Westminster in the other corner.
I know, but then I'm challenged when I try and share it. You don't see me sharing it on my end, that's why.
No, that's right. I can see you working away there.
Yes.
Just having issues at the bottom.
All right. Okay, almost started. I already see that our board chair, Brian Dice, is on here with us. Hello to you, Brian. Thank you for tuning in. I just want to post this in one spot. Live. Awesome. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get us going. So good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for hopping on with us. If this is your first time on our broadcast, I'm Juliette Abdel, President and CEO of the Westminster Chamber of Commerce, and our live streams are designed to educate our businesses, our residents, and anyone really that's interested in understanding what's going on in our community related to COVID, resources that are out there. And then we also feature nonprofits and businesses that are doing things right to make sure that their customers, their employees, and their vendors are taken care of during such an uncertain and odd time. So for those of you that have not been with us before, all of these videos date back into March. You can find them on the video section of this page here on Facebook. You can also locate us on several other social platforms, including Twitter and Instagram at Westy Chamber, and on YouTube, Westminster Chamber of Commerce. But before you do anything else, if nothing else, make sure that you share this with people that you know are needing this type of assistance or support. And then the second thing that I'd like to ask you to do is to hit that like button, hit the follow button as well, so you can get those timely updates and notifications when we do go live. Now, with us today, you may have seen Mike O'Donnell before. He is the Executive Director of the Colorado Lending Source, a partner organization of the Westminster Chamber of Commerce, and a personal friend of mine. Mike and I are able to partner on a variety of things, and earlier on, when COVID unfolded, he was really behind a lot of the PPP, EIDL, and several other federal programs that their organization was made aware of so they can support businesses across the state. So he's been with us every time we've been able to host conversations about funding. I think he ends up getting a number of friend requests after it, I would imagine, just based on the content alone. But today's topic is really focused on two things. One, the mini grants that we have reopened on our county side, and then the state grants program that's now available to our businesses. So Mike and I will tag team this broadcast with him sharing more on the state level and myself on county. Now, this will be an opportunity for you to ask questions. So if you were considering applying to either of these programs, have applied to a program before and maybe did not qualify, want to know what can I do to spruce up my application, now is the time to figure that out. So comments or questions, type them into the chat section. We'll pull them up as we've done with Brian Dice, our board chair, and give you that shout out and the kudos that you deserve. So good morning to you, Brian Dice. Thank you as well for tuning in and staying informed. Jasenia, I see you on here with us as well. Good morning. Thank you for hopping on. Now, Mike, I am going to turn it over to you and mute myself. Take it away with our state updates so we can learn more from your lens.
I will be happy to do those. As long as you put your crown on there, Juliet, I'll be happy to do my little presentation. Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, whenever you're watching this. Thank you for letting me be part of your day. Just as we start on what the state's up to, I just wanted to remind everyone that the Paycheck Protection Program, the PPP program, is still operational through August 8th. So the program was extended by Congress as a surprise extension. And we are anticipating that in new legislation next week up in Congress, the process for applying for forgiveness under the Paycheck Protection Program will be infinitely improved, to the sense that anyone who's applied or received a $150,000 loan or less will almost get automatic forgiveness. So a lot of small businesses have been discouraged from applying for PPP because of uncertainty around whether those allocations would be forgiven or not, but that seems like, and watch the news, that will all change again next week when the new legislation is pushed through, the last version of stimulus that we will see, at least from a federal level this year. Julie had asked me to talk a little bit about what the state has on its agenda in terms of assistance to help with COVID recovery for businesses. And this also is in process, but there's a website called energizecolorado.com. And I'd encourage you to visit that website. There's a link at the very top of the page to their page called energizecolorado.com /gap-fund. And on August the 1st, within a few weeks, we will be introducing here in the state of Colorado the Energize Colorado Grant and Loan Fund. The grants will be available up to $15,000 to businesses with less than 25 employees here in the state of Colorado, with a priority focused on businesses who weren't able to get the Paycheck Protection Program. But just getting the PPP doesn't mean you're excluded from this, and you should apply. But there will be the opportunity to get a grant of up to $15,000 and an ultra low interest rate loan of up to $20,000 for a maximum allocation of $35,000. The ultra low interest rate loan, if I can use that expression, will be a 0% loan for the first 4 months, 1% for the next 8 months, I think, and then like 1.5% for the next 2 years. So the program is something quite revolutionary from a state's perspective. They have been able to secure some CARES Act. They have $20 million available to make grants to businesses in Colorado. Again, businesses with less than 25 full-time equivalent employees who can demonstrate that they have been impacted by COVID. And the easiest way to evidence that impact is through loss of revenue, which I think will be fairly easy for most people who apply for this program. And then should you need more than $15,000, you could also access that ultra low interest rate loan program too. So this is quite amazing. About a quarter of the grant funds need to go to businesses that have really businesses that really have to do with tourism or outdoor recreation, or a lot of the activities which really makes Colorado one of the great states that it is. So we know that a good chunk of the funds will be made available for all of those businesses, especially in the tourist industry or the service industry or the hotel industry or the restaurant industry, wherever they are in the state, to really access funds to really help them get through the process. So if you go to the website energizecolorado.com, you can find the link to that GAP Fund page. You can sign up for the email newsletter. And as soon as the final details of the program are announced, which will be next week, you will be the first to know. There is an online portal where you can apply to access the program. There'll be 4 rounds under this program. The first round will start on either July 30th or August 1st over the weekend. You can actually identify which lender you would like to process your request to. So not that I'm putting a plug in for Colorado Lending Source, but we nonprofit lenders are the ones that will actually be administering this program on behalf of both the state and CHFA, the Colorado Housing and Finance Authority. So there is an opportunity to apply, and you will have 4 chances should you need it. And it's really for loss of revenues you've primarily incurred between March of this year and December of this year. So it's fairly broad, fairly open, fairly easy. And again, it's just really, really a wonderful resource for us to have here in Colorado. There will be some other programs that will be announced fairly soon too. So in addition to your opportunities at Westminster and Adams County, there will be some other programs that have more opportunity for you to expand on what you have been able to do already. So with me rambling like I usually do, I just wanted to give you a little sort of insight into that. And it's, again, a remarkably amazing program, especially on a statewide basis, and especially with the number of dollars we have to disperse here in the state to really help so many businesses and so many businesses who weren't able to access PPP. The focus, the priority businesses for this grant program and loan program are women-owned businesses, minority-owned businesses, businesses of color, businesses based in rural communities, and of course businesses truly impacted from the tourist perspective in terms of service and ability to help with the people who haven't been able to turn up this summer. So I wanted to give you that quick preview. I just jumped off the introduction of that program just prior to joining you on this program. And as I said, there will be some more firm details that will be announced next week. So jump onto the website and just sign up for that email so you can get those as soon as they come out. And with that, I'll pass it back to Juliet, who still isn't wearing her crown, which is very
I might do it at the very end, Mike.
Okay, thank you very much.
For sure. Councillor Seymour, good morning to you. Thank you for hopping on. And Mark West as well. Thank you for those of you that have just hopped on. We have with us Mike O'Donnell. Mike is the Executive Director for the Colorado Lending Source, a nonprofit that services the state of Colorado through various funding and support and resources to primarily small businesses that are looking to either get started, have been around, maybe need that additional support or push to keep going. So Mike did touch on a variety of components of this newer state fund that is being introduced. I tried to capture the web address, and that was energizecolorado.com/gap-fund. And then I was like, oh, maybe he said grant, so I retyped it. No, it is gap-fund. I deleted the grant one. Make sure that you go to that webpage so you can get those timely updates. He did give us an overview on this program because it still has yet to open along with the portal. Likely predicted that it would be sometime next week, the full announcement on it. And then the first round, there would be 4 rounds. The first round of 4 would be the end of July and would continue to run through. And I appreciated you sharing some of the parameters of this program. Mike, I know a concern from folks was those women-owned businesses, those minority-owned businesses as well, and whether or not there was some sort of fund that was out there to support them, as opposed to just the general pool of money that's already hard for people to access anyway. So it sounds like this will be a component of at least a couple of the rounds or a couple of the programs. Is that right?
Yep, it will be, yes.
And then I did catch that everyone can also select which lenders to potentially go through, since it's administered by a variety of folks. That would include, I assume, banks as well, and some organizations across the area. I did write Colorado Lending Source on here specifically. So I've worked with Mike. He has helped us administer our county fund as well. And I know that they are equipped to handle and support a lot of small businesses past just the funding. So we've included those details as well. So if you have questions about the state program that's coming out, or the state program as it relates to how to access it, if you qualify for it, other questions that come to mind as you as a business owner or someone who's an employee of it and might take this information back, type those in while we have Mike with us so we can take those into account as well. So I'm going to go ahead and just flash the website for everybody just for one quick second so that they can see it. It's included in the comment section of this broadcast. Again, it's energizecolorado.com/gap-fund. This is where you'll find information once the grant program does launch, but you can also sign up for timely email updates. And of course, if you're not receiving emails from the chamber already, DM us so that we can get you onto our email communications and you can get this delivered to you immediately once it does release as well. So the other program that we wanted to touch on, and you probably noticed that the subject line of this broadcast was funding state and county. So several weeks ago, I'd like to say that it was actually about a month ago nearly, we partnered with Adams County. Now, as you all are aware, Adams County is one of the 2 counties that services Westminster, being situated on 60% Adams, 40% Jeffco. This was in partnership with Adams County, and essentially it was dollars that came through the CARES Act to our counties to administer as a recovery, as a mechanism to be proactive and support the economy and the community that they cover. And so we were blessed to have Adams County turn around and immediately say, well, we know chambers are doing amazing work. You guys are in tune with your business community and know them more than we do. We don't see them on a day-to-day basis. And so what they decided to do was partner with local municipalities, of course, Westminster being one of their prominent ones. We opened this up for about a week and a half. And I can tell you, we were the single highest municipality in the number of applicants that we had received. I mean, it was the request for funds were probably 3 times the amount that we actually did have funds for it. So we then reevaluated all the applications. In fact, we have a committee that sits to review the hundreds of applications. There's a criteria that we have posted on the Adams County mini grants page. The link is included for you right here. It's also in the comment section of this broadcast. But on this page, you'll find information about the criteria. And I just wanted to quickly run over this. Again, please be sure to reference the website. If you've been awarded a mini grant for any of the categories, because there are 3 grants available, the 3 grants that I want to be sure to go in detail on to answer any questions are operations, technology, and compliance. Now, all 3 of these grants are available if your business has suffered as a result of COVID, but they are to be used for specific types of recovery strategies. So when we think of technology, this is going to be an award that's provided up to $1,000 for businesses to use for things like thermometers, the touchless thermometers or contactless payment solutions that are out there, touchless entry and exit for the physical business location, temperature screening, and any other technology. I mean, we've had people that had to incorporate laptops, handhelds, new software for their products. Those types of things qualify in what technology upgrades might be. Compliance related to mini grants is going to be things like understanding the guidelines that are provided to you, asking for legal support to interpret the state and the county guidance. As you guys have seen, we've had our mayor with us on Mondays, and Mayor Atchison shared that there's sometimes a disconnect between our 2 counties. One has specific requirements while the other might have a little bit different. And so it can create some confusion to you. And so if you're wanting someone to help you in understanding what the guidance is for operation, or what we've seen some businesses do, which I think is a terrific idea, we try and avoid the liability that might come upon us and somebody shopping or doing business with you coming back and saying that it was as a result of you that something transpired to them and their health and well-being. And so a lot of businesses have started to use those the legal expertise to help with drafting those signature forms that you go in and might see and taking the responsibility for doing business with them. Sometimes it's been in the form of policies that they have been able to craft with legal terminology. That is all covered under the compliance mini grants. And then the 3rd grant that's available is the operations. Now, I mentioned technology is up to $1,000. Compliance is also up to $1,000. The business operations is up to $2,500 per business applicant. Now, I say per business applicant doesn't mean that if you have 50 locations that you should submit 50 applications for all those locations that you have. You actually need to submit it only for one, because believe it or not, we're in talks with all of the other local areas around us. And so if somebody has numerous applications for numerous businesses, it's only one that we would be able to award regardless of the numerous locations, if that makes sense. Now, the operations is probably, and Mike, you can answer this with me. I think that was one of the ones that we probably saw the most misunderstanding with.
Correct, yes.
And it was mainly because, when you think of operations, you think of overhead and things like that. And that's not what this grant is for. This does not cover your payroll. It does not cover your rent. It would not cover, I lost revenue from this month to this month. This will help me make it through to the next one. Hello, Counselor Scully and Counselor DeMont. Thank you for hopping on. And John Kahn, good to see you all. So that business operations does not cover that. This covers operational upgrades. So this is upgrades to the building to maintain safety, to encourage social distancing. So for example, if you saw those, if you go shopping in most places, you'll see the stickers that say 6 foot or stand this way, enter that way, do not enter from here, those types of things you can use it for. You can use it for signage in your business. You can use it for the plexiglass. So I'm sure most of you have seen plexiglass as you're entering a business that's there. This covers that. It also covers certain HVAC requirements that our businesses now need to maintain, air filtrations, essentially any costs that may be associated to operational upgrades to the business that you're in. That pretty much summarized it pretty well, Mike, in terms of what operational compliance and technology grants would be used for. You're muted, so I can't hear you, honey.
It would include things like extra cleaning or sanitizing, things that you now have to put into your routine that you probably didn't have to do before. But yes, operational upgrades.
Thank you. And thank you for sharing that. So we also included a link to CPR. It talks about Governor Polis's recent statewide face mask order that was implemented yesterday. And as you know, Jeffco also immediately implemented one 2 days ago, so about 48 hours ago. And we had Tri-County Health Department coming out with the mask mandate, and that would have gone into place on the 24th of July. So we're seeing that not only is it counties now, but it's our state. And this type of grant, these mini grants, do cover the cost for you to purchase the PPE that you might need, the sanitizing type of products that you might have, and other things that your business does require. So again, the link for the mini grants is included in the comment section. The other thing I wanted to quickly touch on as it relates to the mini grants is, the length of time. So earlier on, when we talked about the state one, we shared how there would be numerous rounds. We've already done one round with the mini grant with Adams County. However, this one will be open until we run out of funds. So there's not a deadline on this. It is rolling. What you should keep in mind is as soon as we run out of funds, that means we won't be able to review any more applications or approve them. So the sooner you get in your applications, the better. Now, businesses to be eligible would essentially, they can reapply if you've been denied through the first cycle. So if you've already applied and for some reason you did not receive the grant and you haven't reached out to us, email info, that's info at westminsterchamber.biz, and find out why your application was denied. Again, our review committee is doing their best to support businesses. So if you were denied, more than likely there was a reason that can be corrected. So at the time of your application, you must be located here in Westminster. Now, I know the confusing part of this is that you're going to adamscountycovid19.org to apply. Your business might be in Jeffco. We have worked with Adams County hard to make sure that these business grants are available to all of Westminster. So even if your business is in Jefferson County, you are eligible to apply if your business is located in Westminster. So that is something to also keep in mind as well. Your business should have been open prior to December 31st of 2019 and have 50 employees or fewer at the time of application. So that's also something worth noting. It is a little bit higher than sometimes when we hear the 25 figure, but often we have a lot of businesses that have part-time or seasonal or things like that does boost them up a little bit more. So we're trying to account for those as well. Businesses should be able to demonstrate direct and sizable impact as a result of COVID. And Mike did great by sharing this. I mean, you were pretty straightforward. He said, show it to us through finances, right, Mike?
Easy way to do it.
And I think you can probably share some of the best examples that you've seen on your end with these applications. Some people would have shown, a previous month and compared it to another year, right?
Yes, and those are quite significant. In looking at that, of course, if you normally operate in April and you're shut down during the month of April, then you're immediately losing a huge amount of revenue, and that's very, very impactful, obviously. So again, just comparing month to month, year to year, is a really, really good way. And from a state's perspective, as we look at that, that'll be the simplest way to actually apply for the state grants.
Excellent. We do have a question from Brian, and it's clarification on compliance and operations. The link for the specific mini grants is included in the comment section, and I encourage you to go to that to make sure that you clarify any confusion that you might get from me verbally saying it, because we will go by the writing as opposed to what you might understand from me. However, there is a clear difference. Compliance is essentially leveraging an expert to help you understand and implement policy type things. So it's legal support and guidance. The operations is operational upgrades. So think of facade, physical upgrades to the business. So very distinct differences between the 2 or 3 types of grants that are there as well. So carrying on with this, businesses must have a direct physical in-person interaction with potential customers and a physical place of that they are continually meeting with them. So when we think of, sometimes you think of nonprofits or you think of fully remote, those are fine to apply as long as that you show that there is interaction between you and another consumer or another business, and that it's not all, you're on the phone and there's no interaction whatsoever with anyone at all. There's no restrictions to the type of businesses able to apply as long as you're legal and in the best interest of the community. Franchise businesses and subsidiaries of national companies may be eligible if they are locally owned. So a lot of our franchisees are locally owned. If I'm trying to think of a few in the area, but if sometimes you see corporate brands, you're like, they're not local most of the time, most often than not, they're actually a locally owned franchise. And so they are eligible to apply, again, keeping in mind that they can apply for all the locations that they own a franchise for. They would only have to apply for one. So again, I've included the link for both the mini grants. We've included the link for the state into this broadcast. Mike, what are some tips that you can give to some people as they're considering applying? Maybe some things that you were like, this person did this great whenever they've applied for grants before. Keep this in mind as you're doing it. And then I'll give my 2 cents on this as well.
It really has a lot to do with being prepared, and documentation for we lenders is actually really important. So for many businesses, the easiest way, as Juliet mentioned earlier, was to show how revenue has changed from one year to the previous year. But for some small businesses, they may not have been keeping records adequately or easily be able to access that information. So for most businesses, many businesses use QuickBooks. So it's a matter of going back and looking at what you did in March last year, April last year, June last year, July last year, and then comparing it with what you've done in those comparable periods this year. And providing that documentation from an internal accounting system is a very, very simple way of looking at how things have changed. And you would probably already know this, but being able to document it for someone outside is really the key. And again, whether it's through Westminster or whether it's through the state program, documentation is going to be required, and you're going to actually have to demonstrate something. It's not just, I want it, so I'll get it type situation. The program with the state will be 4 rounds of grants, and so there will be a throttle at the front end as the program becomes more stable. And so not all of the people who apply for grants in round 1 will get them. It doesn't mean you can't apply in round 2, and you might learn from your experience in round 1. And I think that, as Juliet mentioned, there are certainly businesses that may not have qualified in round 1 with the Adams County program, but can get it if they tweak their application a little bit, I would suggest.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point, is organization is key whenever you're applying for grants. I can't tell you the number of people that have reached out or like, I know I applied, I don't know what I applied to, so I saw this and I don't understand it. Keep track, use a spreadsheet to help you, to help us as well. Because if you just call and say, oh, I think I applied for this, unless we can just quickly search and find that for you, there won't be any way for us to know what you applied for, especially if it's not a program that we have administered. So keep track of the programs that you're applying to, keep track of your finance comparisons between what you've experienced, and be able to just kind of justify why you can receive or should receive these grants or loan programs that are there. Again, really request the funds that you are able to use and know that you will use. Don't ask for more than you plan on using. That's another thing, is hearing back from folks that, well, I won't be able to use it in a 30-day period, etc. Well, so these grants and these loans are supposed to act as a fast-acting fund that you use and implement immediately in your business as emergencies, so you can be able to open up or continue to remain open. So keep that in mind. Other people are hurting as well. So only request what you plan on using or have already used up and need reimbursement. In our case, that's one of the things that can be qualified or covered. The other thing that's worth noting is, we receive immediately once people submit, or maybe a week and a half or so, what's the what is the verdict. Know that these are hundreds of applications that we are receiving, and to make sure that we are transparent and fair, there is a process and a system in place for reviewing, comparing the reviews, approving the reviews, and then sending out through the system. And then once we hear back from you all on accepting or declining and any feedback or questions that you might have, then we move forward with the banking side of things. Now, I'll ask Mike this on the spot. He may or may not know, since he just gained a lot of this information from the state. With our mini grants, this is in the form of we will approve the funds once we receive the legal note to us that you guys have signed off. And again, it's not immediately or in real time, know that as well. So have patience and grace with us. And then we will turn around and approve that through the banking. You'll actually receive a physical check that comes to you in the mail. So that also takes up some time for you as well. So keep that in mind whenever you do receive an approval and have to sign in or provide any of the bank information. Mike, can you share on the state level how they plan on administering that side of the fund?
Mm-hmm. And a quick update, the state program is being administered through nonprofit lenders. So there's probably going to be about 20 of us who do that. There's really not much money in the program for to get a bank excited about doing these. So essentially it's really, we nonprofit lenders who aren't, we're just trying to break even and not trying to make money. So the way it will work is if, and essentially as people will apply through a central portal, those applications will be distributed amongst the different nonprofit lenders who will process them reasonably quickly. So by the 20th of August, so that was the end, roughly, it'd be 2 weeks after the first round opens, the first round will close. Once all of that round is allocated and accounted for, the funds will be distributed fairly quickly. If it's a grant and only a grant, it will be a check or a wire that will come directly from the nonprofit lenders fairly quickly. If it's a grant in combination with a loan or even a loan under the program, it will be done through the normal process of the lender, and that might take an extra couple of days, but it will truly be a transfer of funds. And in our case, we prefer to do wire transfers than sending checks.
Yes. Yeah, I would prefer that as well, but it's always a lot longer to set it up. You already have the structure for it, but thank you for clarifying. Lenders are only nonprofits, so definitely make sure that you go through Colorado Lending Source, who I know will get you taken care of. Mike, how can they reach out to you directly? Is there a phone number, email, or website that they can connect with you through?
Yeah, and it's easy to get our website. We've got a very extensive website. It's just our name, coloradolendingsource.org. We have a special COVID page in there where we collect information about a lot of the special programs we've actually helped create in assistance in various communities. And it's really just, again, as a partner with the state and CHAFA and other organizations to try and get some additional funds out wherever we can. So our mission is to foster the economic growth of diverse small businesses here in Colorado, and we do everything we can to make access to capital available to people who typically can't get that through more traditional sources.
I know, and I love that. I love that you're supporting everyone fairly and uniquely. We've included the website, that's coloradolendingsource.org. Be sure to take the one that I spelled correctly, since the first one was a little bit off. Again, we have 2 grants that we just touched on and a loan as well. The one grant that's already open and available to you are the mini grants that are administered in partnership with Adams County and the Westminster Chamber of Commerce. These are open to any businesses in Westminster, regardless of whether you're in Adams or Jefferson County. So please apply or send it to somebody that you know would benefit from applying to these grants. 3 grants that are available: a compliance and operations and a technology grant. I quickly went over the details of them all. You'll find the eligibility criteria and the application on that link for you as well. And then Mike shared with us a little bit about the state grant and loan program that they are administering as a nonprofit. Starting out at the end of July, one of 4 rounds of applications that they will be doing. To find out more information about that grant and the loans that are out there, very low interest, looking at 0% for the first few months, and then it bumps to about 1% for the next several thereafter. That's energizecolorado.com/gap-fund for you as well. Now, I don't want to skip over there. Parker shared that he lost some packages off his front porch, completely unrelated to our broadcast. But make sure that you, once you get a package or something, you take that in, because you never know. It might get legs and wander off, and we don't want that. So sorry to hear that as well. Hello, Melissa Snyder, Justin, and Vanessa DeMont. Thank you for hopping on with us. And to anyone that tunes in on this broadcast later on, give us that hashtag replay. Let us know what you enjoyed, what you didn't, what information you want to know more about, and any questions you might have. Again, if you were denied in the mini grant cycle the first time, want to know why you were denied, and if you can reapply, you can reapply. We'll send you the denial based on who you are. We'll let you know what that looks like as well. Thank you so much, Marquez. I appreciate you benefiting from this broadcast and tuning in with us for the last several. Again, we will be back here on Monday, bright and early, 11 a.m. with our Mayor Herb Atchison, to share updates here in the city of Westminster, everything that's going on, county level and even state. So be sure to bring those questions with you right then. It is Friday, so I should give you guys a break. I think I'm going to go ahead and do that. Oh, you are insisting. So most of you saw this. Thank you, Brian Dice, for posting a thank you on behalf of the chamber. And thank you for everyone that have selected and encouraged and supported me along the way. This is more of a personal journey than professional. So find the details on my personal page, or find me on Instagram to learn more about what this is, why I'm doing it, and ways that you can get behind me and the state of Colorado. Thank you all.
Thank you.